Forgive me for my wrongs, I have just begun. Ain't no mercy, ain't no mercy. Huh. Got that purple Lamborghini lurking.
Akasan's Honest Reactions, I am Akasan.
DC son.
And we're about to get into Honest Trailers, Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. You guys wanted me, yeah, the ultimate, right? You guys wanted me to watch this before I watch everything right, or everything great about Batman v Superman,
Yeah.
and then later, everything wrong with Batman v Superman, and then, that's it. I am so done with this movie. Like, so done.
Until next week.
Yeah.
Just joking.
The reviews, the reactions are done. Bury it. Okay, here we go.
From Zack Snyder and his accurately named production company comes the blockbuster that united the world's two biggest superheroes and divided everyone else. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Sure you don't mean versus? V sounds like he filed a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Get ready for the battle of the century
But that was the point,
between
okay.
critics and fans that had the movie's most rabid supporters sending out death threats, while its harshest critics refused to admit that anything about it was cool.
That was
Even
not-
though you'd be lying if you thought this wasn't awesome.
That was me. I did not find this.
And this
Awesome.
wasn't ridiculous.
What?
Why did you say that? Warner Brothers needed a surefire mega hit to keep pace with the MCU.
Oh,
now,
fuck.
they're pairing a screenwriter who once said, Batman vs. Superman is where you go when you admit to yourself you've exhausted all possibilities. And a director who once said, Batman could get raped in prison. That could happen in my movie? So, really strange choices in retrospect. Man, no wonder Warner Brothers had to shake things up. And all those DC directors distanced themselves from the movie. And DC Comics did a complete reboot to get less dark and snidery. You were promised the dawn of the Justice League, and
That's
they
a good
delivered
point.
an email attachment as the DC Extended Universe kicks off with a folder of low-res QuickTime videos. Who designed the logos? Is Lex Luthor also a graphic designer? Why is Aquaman holding his breath underwater? God, so stupid. Leaving audiences with a cool new Batman movie. Trapped inside a boring, convoluted Superman sequel. Trapped inside whatever cartoon Lex Luthor is from.
Ahoy, ahoy! True! Paradoxical, and he's coming! And, you let your family die! And I am... no, what am I? What was I saying?
The Man of Steel you know and fear has returned. And even he's not sold on the whole Superman gig. Superman is not real. Witness the hero who once stood for truth, justice, and the American way stand for brooding, moping, and wondering why he even bothers, as the film's main character has nothing to do but silently look constipated, get horrible pep talks from his parents,
Be anything they need you to be, or be none of it.
suck at his job, and refuse to fight back against his toughest opponent yet, cable news.
Superman was involved in the planning of this attack.
He is not a hero. Must there be a Superman?
Stop scowling and book an interview. Smile. Let Jimmy Fallon break eggs on your head or something. Go to carpool karaoke and sing that Five for Fighting song.
I'm more than a bird. I'm more than a plane.
But my God, he's still a beefcake. Those abs are so good, you won't even notice how fake those eggs are. Watch Zack Snyder prove once and for all that the hero he really wanted to make movies about is this guy. Or at least his weird murdery fanfic version. Ben Affleck shines as Batman, who's one part CrossFit bro, one part Superman, one part Tony Stark, one part Arkham video game, and one part actual bat? Thrill while the world's greatest detective finally gets to do some actual detective work, as the actor we all assumed would be the worst part of this movie is by far the best part of this movie.
Happy anniversary, Ben Affleck.
Also, everything Wonder Woman did was really cool. Sorry if that seems kind of tacked on and out of place, but you know, so is she.
She with you? I thought she was with you.
Of course she's with you. You sent her an email like half an hour ago, remember? Watch the Dark Knight grow to hate Superman for clear, obvious reasons, while Superman grows to hate Batman back because Lex Luthor hired someone to kill a criminal Batman branded before he put him in prison, so that when Clark Kent refused to cover the local football team and investigated the Gotham vigilante instead, he would conclude that... Look, I don't have time to explain the whole thing. Can we just roll Lex's plan real quick? Okay, let's see here. Okay, right, the CIA, yeah.
He's not making any of this up.
I don't even remember that part. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, step 9A. Yeah, okay, I forgot about that part. Pee in a jar? Man, this is complicated. You don't have to throw everything but the kitchen sink into your evil plan? And there's the sink. You've been waiting since you were a kid to see these two icons go toe-to-toe. Well, keep waiting for 2 fucking hours through boring congressional hearings.
Let me say at the outset that I'm grateful to our witness.
So much journalism.
Why aren't we covering this?
And a semester's worth of intro to philosophy lectures.
God is all-powerful. It cannot be ugly.
To finally get the awesome fight you were promised in the title. That ends after just 8 minutes because their moms have the same name. I repeat, their fight ends because Superman's mom has the same name as Batman's mom. I know Batman's hung up on his dead parents, but come on.
He has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Having a mom changes none of that motivation, no matter what her name is. You can write all the essays you want, convincing yourself this was brilliant. Then again, dumb is a one-syllable word that covers it pretty well. Think you only had to sit through this movie once? Think again. Now, thanks to terrible reviews and mixed fan reaction, Warner Brothers is giving you the privilege of paying again for a 3-hour version that helps explain some plot holes, while adding scenes of Lois yelling exposition to an empty room.
He didn't know he was gonna die. He just bought groceries.
Almost a full minute of Jenna Malone in a bad wig. More congressional hearings. More journalism. Confirmation that yes, that was Jimmy Olsen who got shot in the face. And Jon Stewart's C material.
I assume the only reason he's not wearing the Declaration of Independence as a cape is he thinks it's too on the nose.
This movie even bummed out the Daily Show's audience. So suit up for a film that was so highly anticipated, it could never have lived up to the hype, that had to deliver the fight fans have wanted to see on the big screen for decades, address the controversy around Man of Steel, make enough money to compete with Marvel, be a sequel to Man of Steel and a Batman solo movie, pander to Jar of Pea enthusiasts, form the Justice League, introduce Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, Lex Luthor, Parademons, Doomsday, Steppenwolf, the death of Superman? Whose idea was it to cram all this into one movie? They just burned through like 6 movies worth of good material. But at least Suicide Squad looks pretty cool though, right? Starring Batfleck Forever, Mecha Batzilla, Rorschach, Patrick Batman, Last Son of Krypton, Super Meh, Illegal Immigrant, Lady in the Water, Foxy News, Mary Jane, Amy Adds Nothing, Jeremy's Irons Man, Hector Salamanca, Black Shrek, Grey Hulk, Newborn Mutant Murder Turtle. It's true, Doomsday has no dick. Teenage Mutant Abomination Lord of the Rings Cave Troll, Max Landis, A Wet Mop, Worst Product Placement Ever, Homeless Flash. What the hell is even happening here? I had to ask like 10 hardcore DC fans, and even some of them didn't know. Cena, Warrior cameo. A Democratic senator from Kentucky? Sure, why not? Tonight, a comedian died in Gotham. Martha Wayne and Martha Kent. Oh, now I get it. Nope, still dumb. Fans v. Batman v. Superman. V. Critics v. Other fans. V. Executives v. Zack Snyder. V. Expectations. Can't do them all justice. 300 minutes. You let him die in a tornado, remember?
Oh, fuck. Alright, so... Everybody wants to hear. You got it right over there, too. The Ultimate Edition.
Yes, it is right.
Oh, you don't want...
Pricing.
You don't want people to see how much you paid for it?
Betting just, it's not good.
Alright, so he's, so I didn't actually know this was, Dante's first time to see the Screen Junkies, Honest Trailer, one of the biggest supporters of this movie.
I really need to go to the gym now.
You feel the intensity. Alright, so I guess what I would say is what parts
Irritated the hell out of me?
What triggered you the most here?
What didn't?
What was the biggest thing that triggered you?
Okay, here's the thing. Since you want to bring up stuff dealing with the characters.
Right.
When they were first created, their mothers were named Martha. Get over it.
Okay.
Why? Because at that time period, that was one of the most popular names.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Right.
Okay, fine. How many characters in the Marvel Universe are named Tony?
Right.
So it's not a big deal. But it's being made a big deal. Why is it that he says that and it triggered something? Because sometimes it takes something very small and something that's very personal to you to trigger.
But wouldn't you argue,
things.
but you just said that was a very common name back in the day, so why would that be such a surprise to trigger Batman into backing off?
Because that's something that he has packed down and put in the back of his mind. Because remember, at this point, he's been doing this for a very long time, right? He's going up against someone that he really doesn't know that much about on a personal level. Okay, now, just them fighting, okay, it happens that you have to have that before they can move forward. Fine, whatever. But coming down to that scene, and Superman basically is like, my mother's name is Martha, you gotta save her, it makes it personal.
Right.
Why wouldn't you stop? And it's like, why would you say that? Because when he first says that to Batman, Batman's thinking, you know about my family? Kind of thing. Because if you look at his expression, it's like,
I know.
Why would you say that?
I mean,
why would you bring that up? Kind of thing.
I had no problem with what was written, well, until recently, and I'll explain why recently, but I had no problem with it, that situation. I didn't think it was the greatest way to end the fight, but I was kind of like, I've seen other versions where, you know, Batman just puts his hand out and he's like, you'll bruise, but you won't bleed. Or you won't kill. Isn't that right, Clark? And he stops, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, whatever. Moving on. So I've seen other
Justice League War animation is what it's
I've seen other versions and shit but for me it was just the execution was really bad. Just looking at that scene and Ben Affleck, like he was acting like someone was talking to him. He was like, "What? Why would you say that?" And like watching, I was like, "This is really just played out bad." And actually,
like over exaggerated kind of thing.
Not even that. Just the way it was sort of put together just didn't have the same sort of appeal like you would imagine, and it goes back to one of there's a video out there calling the big problem with Zack Snyder, and he actually said he didn't really, one of the reasons the fights are so short is because he thought they looked kind of silly talking to each other in costume, and that's why he cut down a lot of like the scenes where they're talking because they were in costumes, and then it's like, well, why are you doing a superhero movie then?
Yeah, because they're going to be in costume.
Right, but he felt that it looked corny. But looking at that Martha scene, I can see where in Snyder's mind it does look bad, because that entire scene looked ridiculous having them like that. But I still had no problem with that. I didn't think it was, again, it wasn't the best way to end the movie or end the fighting that people have been waiting for. But secondly, especially with that guy being supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and but aside from that, later I saw the honest trailer of Watchmen, and little did I know, I did not know that in the extended Ultimate Edition of Watchmen, there's actually a scene with these two with the newspaper news anchor. Do you know what I'm getting to?
No.
Okay, so there's a newsstand guy in the actual Watchmen movie. There's a newsstand guy, and there's some sort of customer or something like that, and he comes by every day, and they argue every day about
the same topic,
something like that. And then toward the end of the movie, in the ultimate extended version, they end up having the same name, and they become friends. So for me, I'm just like,
Snyder,
wait, did Snyder just revert back to something like so old?
Well, sometimes that does happen. I mean, you can have when I was in middle school, going from elementary to middle school, one of my closest friends actually shared the same name. When we first met each other, we didn't like each other.
Right.
And for whatever reason, he didn't like me because I was the new guy. I didn't like him because he was mean to me. And it just kept going on. Then we got to know more about each other and find out we do share the same name and some similar things in our background. It made things easier because you had something to relate to.
Right.
It's
a common relation,
as
right.
light as it sounds, some people like that, some people don't. Understandable. Yeah. It's just like any other any other reaction being taken out of context where people don't really like it, like we were talking earlier about Michael Shannon's version, like when he says, I will find him.
Right.
Like a lot of people are like, wow, that's such a cool scene. For me, I could not stop laughing. And it's nothing against the actor.
Right.
It's just, I don't know, it just felt weird to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you know you're going to find him?
That's true.
Because
yeah,
then for me, knowing that obviously they're going to meet later, it's like it felt forced.
Yeah.
So, okay, I understand why some people are like, okay, both of their
like
name Marvin,
scene,
it feels forced. Okay, I understand that. For me,
right.
I didn't have any problem with it whatsoever.
What did you agree with in this honest trailer?
What did I agree with?
What did you agree with? That's why it's funny to me because I think they were spot on. This was one of their best in a long, long time.
I will say that some of the stuff that they mentioned about Ben Affleck doing a good job as Batman, I have to agree. I liked him as Batman.
Right.
I liked him as Batman because he felt very different and he felt very raw.
Right.
The things that I know people didn't agree with was Batman actually killing people. Yeah.
Yeah. Triggered. Yeah.
Now, I understand that and I can deal with it, but I also look at it like this. That's like comparing a older or different version of Batman to this Batman. That's the equivalent of saying Christopher Reeve's Superman and the Man of Steel.
Okay.
They're very different. So for Batman to not really take someone out, especially at this point, knowing that, you know, they have the potential to destroy half the city, it seems kind of like a letdown. Because think of it this way, Snyder's already gone in that direction with Superman. Why wouldn't he go in that direction with Batman?
That's what's really funny about that because
it would feel like
my best friend who loved Man of Steel but was really upset about the Superman killing part at the end. But he was just really like after BVS, I remember he texted me, he was like, dude, we're even, like that. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Then I end up seeing BVS, I'm like, fucking Zack Snyder, what the hell? He's got killing. This, and then he's like, see, now you know how I feel what they did to Superman. I'm like, fucking A. But I mean, we could have an entire, that's a whole nother issue.
Trailer-wise, I have to say that I agree with them. I wish, as a fan, I wish the Ultimate Edition had come out first. Because if the Ultimate Edition had come out, I think fans in general would have enjoyed it more because you do have a lot of things that were more thoroughly explained, more character
But do you feel like 300
that.
minutes for a movie would have been too much though for the average? I mean, originally it was supposed to be like
Lord of the Rings is like the extended version is pretty much the same.
Right, but
the time doesn't bother me.
Okay.
It's can you get from A to B and have me tied to the screen and enjoying it from start to finish?
Right.
That's what I look at. The time that doesn't bother me at all.
Would you say that? But I mean, that's an
would I have liked
that's
to
an
see,
easy answer. You were entertained the entire time.
I loved it. Now, would I wish for a little more action in the movie? A little bit more. But I'm also happy that they didn't do that because in the Man of Steel it was like too much.
Right.
So in this case, they kind of dialed it back a little bit, or at least that's what he was trying to do. Batman and Superman fighting for half the movie, I wouldn't have enjoyed that. Because then I'd be like, why in the hell wouldn't Superman just basically use his heat vision from his head? Done. Super speed. Boom. Disintegration. That kind of thing.
It would have been nice to have had more of a Batman v Superman in terms of a bit of a cat and mouse type of game.
That would have been cool. Like in the animated series. When Batman lays a track on Superman and he finds
out. But not even that,
is.
Just a little bit of teasing back and forth, like they barely miss each other or something like that.
Banter
not even that. Like for example, one version I've seen where during the Clone Wars of the Peter Parker and Scarlet Spider, when Spider-Man and the Scarlet Spider actually went to save the same building, there was a building on fire or something like that, and they went to the same building and they just narrowly missed each other.
Right.
But that issue was so cool because you're like, oh shit, they were doing the same thing. And you saw their principles and how they contrast with each other. Like that, like something like that would have been a little more interesting.
So a little more interaction.
And
with
on
the
top of that, it probably would have been nice to actually see Superman, like actually Superman do Superman things that wasn't just a slow motion moment, cape flapping type of deal, but just more of like, okay, he's actually there being a hero type of thing.
In the first edition or the Ultimate Edition? Because in the Ultimate Edition, they do show more of Superman doing stuff.
Yeah, but it's still all like slow motion shit. Like the one time you see him out of slow motion is when he went to go save Lois and he broke that dude's neck or whatever.
That and when he's fighting against Doomsday.
Yeah, but that's way after. I'm talking about like
true, but those are there's a few
and I don't
scenes
consider
where it's like
Doomsday being like him doing Superman stuff yet. Like I mean, that's him being Superman. But I'm talking about like the whole daily
helping out
Metropolis,
people who are left in trouble.
I would have loved to have seen like that one scene of him pulling the anchor. I would have actually loved to actually seen more of that panned out.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
But I would have loved to see, or him like doing the tsunami victims, and instead of being just a dick standing over, like it was like.
Well, he wasn't. Okay.
But I'm gonna say that
he's assessing the scene. It's like, okay, how seriously? Because any police officer that shows up to a crime scene, they don't just rush in.
Right.
They stop, they pause, and assess what's going on, so they can see what's the best course of action. It's the same thing that Batman does.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's
not like Superman
this movie is less of this movie is for me, this movie, and I think a lot of people, this resonates the problem here, is this movie is less about how the characters on paper were treated in just the way it was executed and shot, but that's what Zack Snyder is all about. That's his particular style. He makes things not look so cheerful and like it's very bleak, and so like you're just saying, the way Superman assesses the situation could have been shot a little different, could have been shot a little brighter, and it didn't need to look like, or it wouldn't have looked like such a dick, like overbearing M. Bison style overlooking the situation. But you see what I mean? The way it was shot, its shadow figure. I mean, it was having this like Jesus sort of symbolism type situation.
Well, I wouldn't say
the
Jesus symbolism. I would say more of like an angel or a helper, not Jesus. That's one thing that people do forget when. People who don't know Superman, they're like, they make him look like he's supposed to be Jesus or a god. Actually, no. Even when he was created, it was being in the image of an angel because that's the creator's father looking over him after he passed.
I've never seen people look at angels that same way, or like the touching of like the...
Oh, the touching of things, that's humans to the angels. But the angel being there, the reason he's standing there that way, if you look at even in the original comic books, his stance, he's standing or he's floating like that. He would have wings, but it's two on the nose.
Okay, the one thing I will say...
That's why he has a cape.
Okay.
And his name means friend of God, or voice of God.
The one thing I will say that I feel like that really got... Because there's just so much going on in this movie. But the one strong point that I felt keeps getting overlooked, and Honest Trailers brought it up, was the philosophy. The philosophy of the angels, the devils, the whole thing with the Lex Luthor painting. If it wasn't such a fucking the Lex Luthor Jr. or whatever you want to call him, if he didn't just come off like such a joke, he was like, when I watched the Ultimate version, he was saying a lot of really good points. If you actually read that in a comic, you'd just be like, fuck man, Lex is right. Like, if the devil doesn't do it, like, if God doesn't do it, the devil will.
That's what makes the character interesting, whether it's him or his father.
Right.
It's not that they're wrong.
Oh no, they're completely right. Yeah.
But it's their execution.
Yeah, exactly.
How they go about handling the situation. And that's
I thought it was like watching the Ultimate version and kind of just pushing away and understanding that this was a Lex Luthor Jr. type person. I'm just like, But listening to what he's saying, I'm just like, and like if you replace Jesse Eisenberg and try and put Bryan Cranston in that same role with the same dialogue, you could totally see him nail that character. Like, fuck, man, Lex Luthor is on the ball here. Like, you know, if the devil doesn't do it, God will. Like, you really, like, see that.
Really, it hits you differently, but I think the good point about Jesse Eisenberg's version is...
what cartoon he's from.
Well, the cartoon thing they did there was funny. I enjoyed that. But I like the way he did that because he's actually a psychopath. He has a psychotic break, and the way he's playing that is almost perfect. People don't like him because he does seem like a comic book character.
Yeah.
But I like that because he's being...
Okay.
Not just that, but because he's being underestimated.
Yeah.
And I like that they're doing that because if they go in the direction that the comic books have done with that character, the next time you see him, oh, he's full on out there.
Yeah.
And he's ruthless.
Yeah.
Where right now he seems pretty tame. He's done some he's done some horrible things, but it's actually tame compared to what eventually happens.
All right, we're gonna leave it at that one there because we still have to debate this. So everything good, everything wrong, and we have a specific way we're gonna go about that. So we'll catch you on the next reaction. Red Dreaded Nation, stand up, speak up. Do you think that Honest Trailers needed to even make this extra extended version? I'm fine with it. It's kind of funny
because
it was kind of funny.
They're separated and they have a different feel to them.
Right, but the Titan version on YouTube did flow a lot better. So I like the fact that they added that extra stuff in there. But I like their tighter version because it was like that became. That was the significant masterpiece. Was perfectly cut together. So. And I
liked Wonder Woman also.
yeah. Sorry, we just shoveled that one in, but you know, so was she in the movie? I will say that I did watch that movie. Ironically, I felt like I was being trolled because on the way to America, Los Angeles, Batman v Superman was on the TV, and I was just like, is there anything else on? So I was like, okay, let me try. And I pushed play, fell asleep, woke back up, and I'm just like, oh, fuck this. I just forwarded straight to the when Wonder Woman shows up. Because that scene where Wonder Woman shows up to the end, for the most part, is pretty damn good. Pretty damn solid. I mean, it got kind of long with the funerals. But the actual scene, and then when Superman flies in, and that shit was dope. Yeah. Up until the point where Superman dies, I'm just like, all right, cool, and then I just move on to the next scene or whatever. But then on the way back home from my Los Angeles trip, they had Civil War, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, that makes up for it. So there you guys go. Yes.
Outside of keeping it super, I do think that the way Snyder filmed this, he's going to make Superman a lot lighter in the next iteration. It just has that feeling. It has that feeling.
If we can't get rid of him, if the WB won't get rid of him, then the fans will. But no, but I was like,
I'm still happy he's making movies because if he wasn't, who would you have make it?
Anybody. All right, no, you know what?
I wouldn't say anybody because there's some tripe out there. Not taking anything away from anyone who puts their self out there to make
honestly,
a feature, but Justin Lin.
Who?
The same director's doing Aquaman, who just finished doing Star Trek, who just finished doing Fast and Furious.
I could see that. No, I could see like some of his work. Yeah, fuck. I mean, even David Ayer, even in some cases, maybe David Ayer could have done because I felt like the Suicide Squad set up somewhat of a better. Set up the DCEU way better than BVS did, and it wasn't even on the nose type shit. It was just like, look, here's the death of Superman, like that scene,
and they tied it into the.
I thought it was
spoiler.
Right, well, that scene with Amanda Waller.
Yeah, where they tied it into.
I thought that was great.
That was great.
I was like, that's all we need. Like, you don't need to be on the fucking nose like Snyder is so much. Like in a slow. You don't need Amanda Waller walking slow motion and the guy with the shirt like.
Remember, I like that.
Remember, but you don't.
It gave me chills because it's like, wow, that's really cool that they had that little piece in and then continued.
But they call it a moment because it's a moment. It doesn't need to be the entire movie. That's the problem I think a lot of people have with BVS is the fact that every scene had to be a goddamn moment with a narration. It was just like, dude, just show it in real time and we can absorb it easily, but almost every scene of Superman, like I said, before things really start happening 2 hours later, every scene with Superman is a moment. Him just slow motion. And I was just like, oh my god, gets this shit go.
It didn't bother me because it showed that there's a difference between him and what he can do to a normal human.
Okay. Fair enough with that point. My big challenge now, and sorry,
the next video.
My big challenge now is I still have to watch this movie one more time because it just came out in Japan a couple weeks ago, and she never got a chance to watch the movie because we never there was no way I was paying for that fucking movie.
Yay!
Especially the theatrical version, but the bigger problem is the fact that the rental version, as far as I know, the rental version is the theatrical version.
It is.
And
the Ultimate Edition.
The Ultimate Edition, to get the Japanese version, it's going to be kind of expensive for the subtitles and such, so I have to still figure this one out, and then I'm just thinking I might go...
What's the price difference? Do you know?
It's like $50-something for the... Yeah. For the Blu-ray Japanese version. And then I wanted to see the Ultimate, the Ultra 4K version.
Right. Which is more expensive.
Which is like
7,000.
No, it's like it's like 7,000, 8,000 yen. Which is around $85 and fucking shit.
Which means that's just what?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I have this big problem, but then at the same time, I don't think she can sit through a fucking 3-hour, 300-minute movie. That's the other problem.
That's no problem.
Nah, she would fall asleep she's falling asleep through shorter. So.
Wake her up on the good parts. The entire movie!
Hey, Wonder Woman's here. Wake up. Okay, now here we go. Like that. So I might just go with theatrical just to get it over with. And we'll be done.
I'm like this. If you're going to show her the Ultimate Edition, but do it in sessions. If you don't think she'll be able to watch the whole thing, do it in sessions because it'll be easier and it'll make more sense. The movie, for me, it's more enjoyable watching this version than the theatrical version because it makes more sense as
Ultimate Edition version, though, you really think people like... I'm glad I watched the Ultimate Edition, but that's because I really forced myself to sit through it and be like, okay, yeah, let's get this journalism, extra Clark scenes, this is really helping flourish the story more. But an average person is just going to be like, where's this movie going? Like, what's going on? Like, we just made this argument about Jessica Jones earlier, about, Jessica Jones was very long, and it's just like...
That was different because you had the same villain that should have been gone within 5 episodes.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I will figure this one out. I will figure it out!
Ganbatte ne.
Yoroshiku. I'm out. Peace.
That's me.
That's us right there.
Hi.
What's up, Japan?
Is it only in Japan?
No,
it's the internet.
It's my entire...
The internet. It's everywhere.
It's the Red Dreaded Nation.
Most areas. The internet primarily only streams in Japan.